This is little dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can. And they continue with Amnesia, a machine for pigs, blind. Now, in one of the letters, there was a suggestion about a secret passage lighted by candles, so I think this might actually be a significant item to progress with. Okay, there's a pig tied to the cross, and generally there are pigs all over the altar, which, you know, I'm pretty sure is supposed to be blasphemous. Oh. Actually, this church from the beginning seems to be designed to be blasphemous, because those stained glass windows, like there's a man with a pig's head, and there's like a slaughtered pig. Like, this is clearly not Christian, not Christian iconography, you know. And there's like a factory. So was this church built to honor me in the first place? I guess it's directly connected to the machinery. Okay, that's definitely weird, I would say. Pretty weird. I'm just checking if there's no, like, letters in the pews, or like some other documents I could read. Okay, the altar moves and the whole floor descends. Okay, so it is basically a church to myself, and there's like a like the entrance to the deeper part of the machine is at the altar, which I think is also significant. Infernal machinery. The engine fires, the flames are stoked. I hear steam in the walls, vibrations upon the very air. My heart falters at the prospect of throwing the lever and exposing the workings of this dark contraption, but my children beckon me, and I cannot fail them. A hellish portal. It appears I have no choice. Thus I descend, and may God have mercy on my soul. If this is my bedlam, and I am to be cast as Matthews, then I will wear the mantle for the sake of my boys, and face whatever horrors lie beneath the altar. Okay, let's go and see. Okay, so there are pens. Again, I don't think those are for pigs. Would be a little too easy. Plus, pigs don't tend not to wear clothes. So, you know, there's also that.
Listen, Papa. Hold the egg to your ear. You can hear the sea.
Well, that's definitely not a pig. Although, that makes me question, why can't I not at least try to help that guy? You know? That's a person, like, that's pretty clear. He just spoke to me, and he's right here, underneath this piece of cloth. So, what kind of heartless bastard you have to be not to at least try to help the man? Like, there's literally a human being imprisoned beneath this cloth, and the protagonist doesn't even care enough to look at him. I find that disturbing, but then again, I build all of that, right? Like, that's what I assume. This game is called Amnesia, and a similar thing happened in the first game, where, over the course of the game, you learned about all of the horrible stuff that you yourself was involved in. Were involved in, rather. But to be honest, if they rehash that to such a large degree, I am going to be rather annoyed. I didn't like it in the first game because by the end, or rather by like the half point, I considered the protagonist to be, morally reprehensible to such a degree. Oh, okay, that was definitely a weird creature. Like I guess maybe that was the pig man. But I considered the protagonist morally reprehensible to such a degree. To such a degree that I actually wanted him to fail instead of succeeding. So I guess they were feeding the people rats, or alternatively they were feeding them nothing and they were eating rats because if they managed to catch them, because that's the only thing they got. Okay, I'm screwed. That doesn't really look like a pig to me. It looks more like a bear or something. Although, you know, to be fair, I do have a rather hard time taking a good look at it. And so to the stoking. The workers sing as they work, they sing as they eat, they sing as they make toilet, they are always singing. If you place your ear to the ground, you can hear them still.
Water in his shoes. Always the water, and the sparks of the embers of the wheels. It's too bony! It's too damn bony!
The Mandus processing factory. My soul shudders at what I've seen, but at last I have reached the main part of the factory, now onwards, downwards, to find those floodwaters and drain them away. Like Moses, I will cleave the waters and lift my little darlings clear of the vile cradle. I guess this shows me in which part of the factory I am, because I'm pretty sure beforehand it highlighted a piece that was higher.
These men, Professor, these so-called men of vision, they would shackle the masses to a wheel and turn it till their backs break. All for that opiate, the lure of profit. These fools who lackey them, these priests, these officials, this government, they make pigs of us all.
But what solution, my dear man? How to break a cycle? You cannot simply remove the promise of a better world for these unfortunates. In the workhouses, in the orphanages, the belief in heaven is surely the only succor one can find.
We do not need to wait. We can bring forth paradise now. We can speed the passion. With only a small sacrifice, we can hold the apocalypse. With just a small sacrifice, we can free our shackles and deliver them to paradise now.
Well, would that be by killing them? Because, you know, if you are religious, you would say, you know, if a person dies with a clean enough conscience, that's actually an improvement over living, because he's going to get a chance at life eternal. Piston rooms. Okay, I assume going down is progress, because I'm supposed to go all the way down to the bowels. Work manager. Was there a train passing by right in front of the door? That's a supremely stupid way to design a place. Then again, whoever designed this is probably insane.
Hear me, Mandus. I am compromised. Our contacts must be brief and occasional. Beware the wretches who populate this compound. The way you seek is under the pistons. When you meet the saboteur, you will understand everything.
October 17th, 1899. Each compartment is ergonomically designed with a feed-through at one end, so the product naturally settles into position, ready for the stunning arms to connect to the skull. We used a natural static charge built by the friction of the cards against the belt to build an electrical charge, which is contained within a glass vacuum canister at the sides of the stunning arm mechanisms and delivered along the stun arms via copper cabling. We have observed that the artificial lighting contained within these canisters seems to calm the product further. Post-stunning the line tilts sharply to the vertical, the physics of which tips the stunt product upwards to fall directly onto the hook of the bleeding line. The hook passes normally through the haunch or the thigh of the product, and from this point we dispense with the belt and instead instigate a channeled floor, which creates a funnel allowing blood and byproduct exertions to collect and run to the fluid collection tanks. Of course that would happen. Piston control room. One, 3, and 5. 3 is not operational. October 18th, 1899, a series of connecting vents have been installed along the ceiling at this stage of the line. In process of stunning and bleeding, the product often expels stinking vapors from its digestive system, which can be collected, condensed, and used in the methane boiler to drive the engine as a whole. In this way, the more product is processed, the more power becomes available to the machine, and the productivity is actually increased. A simple stroke of genius, but one that encapsulates the benefits of a self-regulatory automation. danger. No entry to the under pistons when machinery is at rest. Stop. Are all furnaces fueled? Yes, they are. Fire and steel. The fires are stoked. Assuming the same architect is responsible here as with the chemical plant, I surmise that a centralized control system regulates and operates the pistons. It should be a simple matter of finding it and hoping the saboteur relented after simply extinguishing the fires. Lily's arms are made of steel. Lily's arms are silent. The pistons are silent. The plant is at rest. I must poke the hornet's nest to open my way. I fear. The scale of these engines suggests a far greater work than is visible from the surface, so my friend must have been correct, and the larger part of the plant is underground. We are close to the Thames. No wonder flooding is such a risk. Bird brand. Okay. The descent continues. What did the dark voice instruct me to do? Under the pistons, into the tunnels, onto the bilge pumps, and if the doors should be locked, I will have to find another means of descent. I cannot trust him, but my path is set. I shall ignore those noises, that snuffling, those shuttling steps below me. I will brave whatever lurks beneath, and I will save them. April 30th, 1899. The crate arrived this morning, and I had it delivered directly to the workshop. The body is remarkably preserved, although there is a subtle yet nauseating stench of damp and rot. It is humanoid in shape, but has suffered severe skeletal deformity. Remnants of leather straps encase the torso, which is deformed, with evidence of substantial muscle mass and displacement. It is difficult to ascertain whether this unfortunate is the recipient of some barbarous surgery or was born deformed, and an attempt to force his gnarled body into some semblance of humanity was made. What he is I cannot tell, but I smell the orb upon him, and I suspect my great-uncle's presence in his curious condition, so it can be done. He can reshape the body into a tool, accelerate the process of Mr. Darwin's evolution. But here my great-uncle and I part company. He chose man as the subject of his experiments, but men are difficult to control and rotten with sentimentality. No, we require a new creature for our chattels. Loyal, clever, strong, easily sated. Wait, so did he... Okay, that's actually, like, that's still disturbing and still wrong, but if he somehow managed to get pigs sentient... Well, what I mean is, the act of making pigs sentient specifically is not necessarily unethical or wrong. It's definitely weird, but, you know, if he managed to do that and then he like tortured them or something, or did stuff with them, if those man-pig beasts, although to be honest, the whatever I saw for now doesn't even look much like a man. It walks on all fours. It doesn't even look like a pig that much. But if he managed to, if he started from the end point of a pig and arrived at a pig man, that's actually pretty impressive. Compound X storage, danger, no naked flame. Chemical transportation, danger, highly corrosive, highly flammable. in the nest of eggs. The factory is quiet now. Stumbling the alley, a wrench hung loosely from his hand. Oil and grease dripping from it. Looks like blood in the half-light.
Quickly, Mandus. Find the entrance nearby. The children weep in the darkness, and the floodwaters continue to rise.
Sabotage. Bruised and battered, but alive. I have survived the saboteur's best efforts. He and I are now locked in an epic struggle. But I am driven to find my family, and I will prevail. Ignore the madness about me, but do consider what cruel and unspeakable acts have been committed here. Find the way to the bilge, drain the flood, free your children. Well, to be honest, it's kind of pretty well established. Well, established. Maybe it's not established, but it's pretty strongly suggested that I committed all the evil that was to be committed, because this is my factory. I built that. There is my name on it. So, you know, do not exactly color me surprised if it ends up like this. Okay, that's some kind of procedure chair. Probably for the lobotomy they mentioned in one of the... maintenance access. There is clearly another passage beyond the locked gates. It seems I have a choice of approach. The padlock is old but firm, and after that fall, I cannot summon the strength to break it open. Perhaps I can find another way. Okay, more dentures. July 15th, 1899. In order to facilitate assimilation of tissue groups, a compound is required, or the cells will not bond. Disposal of non-bonded subjects must be immediate, and using incineration, or we risk a continuous animation without form. This is unpleasant. A single compound of 1 pound Brandenburg infusion vitae to 1 part Oregon monad dispersal fluid is sufficient. This can be administered intravenously to subjects following reassembly to match bonding. The compound is unstable and highly light reactive. Once in the body, the Schumann lamp can be used to activate the compound, but outside the body it is highly corrosive. It can even destroy small quantities of metal. Okay, so that's a clue about how to destroy the log. centrifuge. It is some form of a bizarre mixing device for chemical compounds, and it positively reeks of the foul fluids I have seen too often before. It's clearly a compound, some volatile bastard of two composite ingredients. I should wager I would find them close by. Well, probably at the end of those tunnels. Low temperature storage. Oh, well, that is more like a pig man. So they can walk on. They can walk upright. Guess they just usually don't. A warning. Inflamed it is, burning it does, bleeding from each hole, fore and aft, breaking down my legs, blood and excrement, my lungs are in my vomit, I pass clots of my organs, now unto the filthy stone. Drink this, he says, and I drink it. I did do that, because of the changes, they ripple inner me, my teeth sneeze, and scatter like mice in the dark. I cannot find them all. Gathered what I can, push them back into my grey gums with my fingers, but the nails are all weepy and are falling out. Drink it, he says, it'll help running off the fever, but not all of us can take the change. On the other table, a beast under a blanket. I never wanted to see under that, but he drank it too. He passed it under the blanket, the blanket, and I heard it drink. God Almighty, how can a man shit so much blood and still live? Okay, this seems like a memoirs of one of the creatures. I guess at this point it is kind of debatable whether those are people that have been changed into pigs or pigs that have been changed into people, which, as I said, both options are disturbing, but the latter option is definitely more impressive. Okay, I was supposed to turn it off, but I'm still missing something. Okay, I guess the fact that the pipe is frozen. I'm like super dead because I don't know where I'm going. I wonder where the save is. Where am I? So I went in a circle.
It fell onto his hands and they eroded in front of me. To stumps. To stumps. Next time we will use an equal mix of infusion vitae and orgone disperser. No, no, just take him out. You can dump him in the river for all I care.
August the 20th, 1899. Took delivery of another batch of imbeciles today. They are the sorriest specimens of humanity I have ever seen. No one asks where they go. The authorities of Bedlam are simply happy to reduce the overcrowding in teeming, stinking holes. We measure their skulls, check their teeth. We give them laudanum to pacify them. They wait in line. Livestock. Like I know the word livestock, but it doesn't. It isn't. It is a noun, so it wouldn't fit in this sentence. I guess it is livestock, which is like a livestock, like in a dazed. I guess that's what the word means in this context. Dull brown eyes and filthy skins. Many soil themselves as they wait. Into the manipulator they file in silence. I hear the hissing of the gas. I hear the dial groaning as teeth are removed and bones are reset. I hear the pigs screaming. We have removed all the mirrors. After the process, it is their reflections that trouble them the most. Afterwards, when they sleep, I walk among them. My children, I whisper to their dreams, you are my children now. I have children once again, and your forms imperfect will be the engines to make my own blood flow again. Okay, so disregard the point about turning pigs into humans. He's clearly using humans. He's using mentally ill people from like insane asylums that nobody cares about. But the interesting point though is this. My children, you are my children now. I have children once again. So that would suggest my children are already dead. Which, you know, would gel well with the fact that, for example, as I said, it would be impossible for them to... I saw them, and like 3 minutes afterwards, the voice on the phone told me that they are very deep in the machine. So that would have been impossible for them to physically accomplish. So possibly I am just hallucinating them.
Over there, place it in the corner. What? You think I speak Prussian? Do I look like an inbred hog, sir? Who gives a damn what it contains? Just set it down carefully and leave me be.
So they do look kind of more like man pigs now. When they walk upright. I'm not quite sure why it retreated. It had me on a silver platter.
The lift has been sabotaged. You will have to find another way to the tunnels. Take care in this place, Mandus. It is the crucible of the evil that stalks these corridors.
What's... oh, those are like fuses or something? But they can't do it anymore. I'm probably not supposed to cross this at this point. August the 4th, 1898. Okay, so this is... I think this is the first that I found from 1898. More experiments with compound X. Took the dog and injected it with strychnine. After the expected convulsions and spasming, it died just after midnight. I immersed the body in a large tank of compound X and introduced an alternating current via an induction coil for a period of 3.5 minutes. Partial return was induced. However, damage incurred prior to the death was retained upon a revival, meaning that the dog continued in the acute state of strychnine poisoning until I put a bullet in its skull. But drowning? Perhaps yes. It is after all known to be the kindest of suicides. If one were to drown, replacing the fluid in the lungs with compound X should theoretically be perfectly possible as a revival method. Well, not really. Like, the drowning is not simply a case of your lungs filling with water, because obviously as you asphyxiate, your brain actually dies. Like you get brain damage from oxygen deprivation, but I guess maybe they wouldn't have, like, maybe Mandus wouldn't have known that at that point. Although again, the kindest of suicides, drowning, like, to be honest, you don't have to know the exact mechanisms of how of how, technically speaking, people asphyxiate while drowning, to know just from looking at it that it's not the kindest form of suicide. Like, the sort of struggle involved in drowning, like, you probably can't calmly drown yourself. I don't think you can, unless you I don't know, make yourself unconscious first, which I guess, but using that method you could lie before a train and it still would be relatively calm, owing to the fact that you have made yourself unconscious beforehand, so you wouldn't struggle on account of that. What's the point? I still have nothing. Oh, duh. Like, I am an idiot and also blind. A heady brew. I have the compound. It hisses and steams in its container like some sort of living thing. A witch's jelly to burn and corrode. The container is made from glass. A strange choice, unless there is some particular reason why metal that pervades everywhere else cannot be brought into contact with this so-called compound X. I should investigate further for clues. Okay, so I simply need to take this and break it upon the lock, right? Okay, I didn't even, like, I guess that's because I didn't have the light. I didn't even see there was a frog in here. You can make its legs contract by running electricity through it, but what do I do with the lock though at this point? Ah, I guess it did say something in one of the diaries about light being possible to be used to do something. Okay, so I think this episode has been long enough. I'm going to pause it here. That's all for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.